Good morning, what's up? How's everyone doing? We're going to be taking a look at XRP today. We'll take a look at the DXY, total crypto market cap, and we'll take a look at the legacy markets as well. We'll take a look at the S&P, Dow Jones. Good morning. Morning, Mina. Hope you're doing well. What's up, guys? Good morning, Elliot. You wanted to take a look at Litecoin today? We can definitely take a look at that for sure. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. We're going to be taking a look at the stock market today. Very big swing on Friday. Crazy market conditions for sure. And we'll see how we'll look at a bullish scenario that can come out of the market right now. So, yeah, we'll take a look at H-bar as well. No problem, Matthew. We can take a look at all of the ISO coins today. And yeah, I'm still bullish for now. I mainly want to look at what's going to happen next week, how the price action is going to play out, because this is the first time in history, or at least from my experience, that I've seen the crypto market not follow the stock market. You know, I think we lost over $10 trillion on Friday, while the crypto market added over $800 billion. So I think that's a first. I don't think we've ever really seen that in crypto before, where we have that divergence from legacy markets. I've never seen it. Yeah, we'll take a look at Mina Coin. I know you were asking for Mina Coin in the previous streams, Erdi. So, yeah, we can definitely take a look at that and see how the structure is playing out. We'll first take a look at XRP, and then we'll move on to the DXY, the stock market, and then we'll take a look at all of the coin requests that you guys have for me. We can take a look at everything, so no worries. We'll make sure to get to everything today, or we'll try to get to everything today. Excuse me. Yeah, we'll take a look at FET for sure. Okay, so let's take a look at XRP right from the start over here. We can actually start with a fully clean chart, just so I can show you guys exactly how I'm doing this, and just so you guys are in the know of exactly how I'm conducting this analysis here. I'm just wondering, can you guys hear me okay before I start here? All right, cool. Yeah, we'll take a look at FET. No worries. We'll take a look at all of the coins, and everyone will be okay. So we'll first take a look at XRP right from the start, right in 2014, and yeah, let's check this out. All right, so now, you know, a lot of analysts, they're saying that XRP has the potential to go to 30, but I don't see that. The reason I don't see that this cycle is because it looks like we're within wave 5 of 5. Like when you take a look at the waves all the way back from July 2014, I mean, anything can happen. I can be proven wrong. And it does go to 30. But if we're taking a look at the likeliness or the likelihood of that scenario, I would say 13 is more likely, as 13 to 15 being the absolute pico top. Because going all the way back to 2014, we could see here this was our wave 1, right? And you can kind of consider like this move over here from 2013 to 2014. This was when all the founders acquire their XRP. They dump it over here, they buy it up back up at a 90% discount, and then they hodl throughout the rest of the cycle. Okay, so we can kind of we can disregard this. We can disregard this move right over here. I'll show you guys. Let's disregard this move, and we'll actually start the count from over here. Okay, so this was your wave 1. Okay. And then you have your WXY correction. So your W, your X, and then your Y wave. And then this was the famous run that everyone talks about, and a lot of people were very lucky to be within XRP during this time. But I know a lot of people never sold because, you know, when you have a move like this, it can be very like, you know, it could take you back, because this is something that's not ordinary, right? A 96,000% pump. You wouldn't really know. I know some people were lucky to sell, but I know most people weren't. So yeah, this was your wave 3 over here. And then what you had for your wave 4 was a triangle pattern. So you have an A, a B, a C, D, and then you have your E wave. So this was the famous pennant that everyone was talking about for over 3 years, right? This was your pennant right over here. And then what you're going to have is you're going to have an ABC within each of the waves. So this is your ABCDE, right? Like this. And then if we zoom in, we could see that within each of these waves, there's an ABC within them, right? So this was your ABC down from 2018 down to the March 2020 bear market. This was when the C19 crash happened, I believe. Yeah, C19 March 2020, market goes in extreme panic. Okay, like this. And then you have another ABC up, so a 5-wave move up to 77 cent for your leading diagonal. So a 5-wave move, the waves are overlapping each other. Then you have an ABC down for your bear trap. And then for your C wave, you have another 5-wave move up. And that marked the top in 2021, okay? Then you have another ABC down, right? This was your ABC down here, like that. Another ABC up, A, B, C. And your C wave of your D wave came to the 123.6% fib when we use our trend-based fib. So you guys see? Well, it actually came up to the 1.618. So yeah, a really nice C wave to around, I believe this was 94 cent. And then you had your last ABC from 2023 July down to June 2024. So June 2024, that was the wave 4. That was the macro wave 4 low. And then we start our 5-wave move up from here. Now I know the market looks like if you were to go on the daily time frame or any time frame lower than the daily, it actually looks like death. Like anyone looking at this right now would be like, oh yeah, there's no doubt that this is going to break down, right? But if we were to just zoom out on the 3-day time frame, what if all of these small time frame moves that we see here, they just manifest into a wick on the high time frame and this neckline ends up holding? That's a very big possibility, right? Okay, so this is our, okay, so now we're within wave 5 of 5. So this was our wave 1, your wave 2, your third, and we're currently within the 4th wave. So it's either that this wave 4 is done, okay? Or you break below $1.90 and then we go to around $1.50, $1.60 region. Okay, my bias is that the correction is done and we're just seeing extreme chop, extreme chop and congestion of price. Now, Friday, the stock market, it did tumble. It did tumble down, but crypto didn't follow suit. So next week will be very telling. Next week will be very telling on the direction of the crypto market because we had that divergence on Friday, right? I know a lot of analysts are very confused, but we just need to wait until next week's price action to see what the crypto market is telling us. I think next week will be extremely important for the crypto market. Okay, so as you guys can see, we're within wave 5 of 5. We're likely come to around $13 for our wave 5. And the reason I say 13 is simply because that's the 423.6% fib. When we take a fib from our 2017 high down to our bear market low in March 2020. So taking a look here at the 4.236, you see how it's at 13 right there? I think it's going to hit this level. And then what we can do to find more confluence excuse me, what we can do to find more confluence is we take a trend-based fib. Now, trend-based fibs are very powerful in crypto. I know a lot of people, they only use regular fibs, but once you add trend-based fibs to your arsenal, your trading will become much more advanced because you can actually pinpoint the reversal to a T. So to find your wave 5, we could take a trend-based fib from the bottom of our wave 1 over here. So from the bottom of our wave 1 to the top of our wave 3 down to the bottom of our expected wave 4. And you can even see $26. That's even that's a technical target, but I don't think that gets hit this cycle. So we're going to take a look at the lower values. So we'll take a look at the 618, 786, 702, and the 100% fib over here. We'll also take a look at the 88.6% fib, and yeah, we'll take a look at these values. Okay, so there is a possibility that we have a wave 5 1-to-1 extension towards 15, where you kind of overshoot the 4.236. I've seen it happen before. I think it happened over here. If we take a fib from this wave 4 in 2017 down to this low, the 4.236 was at $1.22, and then it overshot it. So there is a big possibility that we overshoot 13.35 towards 15.87, and then we top out there. So there's a possibility of that. Now, taking a look at where this wave 4 is, or where we think this wave 4 is, we can see that it's come down to the 50% fib already. Okay? You see how it's come down to the 50% fib? And you see how many times we've used this trend line as resistance? It's almost like it's like a ball underwater, right? Almost like a ball underwater, and every time we come to this resistance, traders short. So traders are putting their stop loss above this trend line for the anticipation of a continuous rejection, and then a fall through this neckline right here. So what I'm thinking is that it takes out all of these stops like a ball underwater, right? So we'll call this our trend line liquidity. Okay. And this would be your WXY correction, something like that, right? WXY correction And there's two scenarios to this, right? Either we hold this neckline and there's a possibility of wicking below it, but as soon as you get a daily close below $1.90, then it's very likely that this Y wave or this C wave is going to come down to the 618 at $1.55. Absolute worst case scenario, I would say that it comes down to around $1.30 area. And then we can even use our trend-based fib to this. Let me see here. We can use our trend-based fib to this, and we'll see where this could extend to. Yeah, so yeah, you see the 1.618 and 1.702? That's right there at $1.60, $1.55 region. So there is a possibility it comes down there, but my bias for now is that $1.90 holds, and these lows hold, but we'll get more clarity next week. Remember, because we had that divergence on Friday, we're going to need more price action to play out before we can definitively say that we're going lower. Okay, now after this chart, I want to show you guys total 3, and we'll take a look at the overall health of the crypto market. But yeah, this is the full XRP wave count. Now, to all of the hardcore XRP hodlers and investors, this is likely, even though this is a wave 5 of 5, it'll be a cycle wave 1. Remember that, right? This is just our first macro cycle. So we'll call this, or let me show you guys here. We'll call this our wave 1, okay? This move here through 13 to 15 bucks, we'll call this our wave 1. And then you're going to have a bear market, right? For your wave 2, wherever this lands, I'm sure it's going to be a very big correction. And then we have our wave 3 for the next cycle, okay? For the next bull market. And that'll likely be $27 to $50, maybe even $100. Let's see if utility kicks in, right? But for now, I would say that this is a purely speculative run with the technical target sitting at 13 to around 14 bucks. So yeah, this is XRP. Two scenarios, right? Either we hold a neckline or we come down to $1.55, $1.60. Let's see here. See, on the small time frame, it looks like death, right? But I don't want you guys to stay on this small time frame. It's gonna mess with your brain. It'll mess with your psychology and emotion, right? This is what crypto likes to do. It likes to look like death on the small time frame, and then if you scale up to the high time frame, you'll realize that it's just a blip on the radar. You know, so many traders and even investors, they get shaken out on the small time frame, right? So stick to the small time frame. So stick to the high time frame and you'll be okay. But in regards to the small time frame, like for all of my traders and scalpers, I'm thinking that this is your ABC. So this is your A, this is your B, and then you have your C wave down like this, like that. And then this C wave terminated at the 78.6% fib on the log scale. So we can even put like a structural support block over here, so we can give ourselves like a little bit of a safety net on the small time frame. So for the subwaves, this would be your ABC down, your ABC up to the 1.236 extension. Remember in the second last video I made on XRP, I said that this could be an ABC correction because we never got over the 1.382 for the B wave. Well, it turned out to be correct. That was your B wave, and then this is your 5 wave move down. Now, originally we said that this wave 5 of C is done, but what if this is your wave 3, this is your wave 4, and then we come down for a truncation of the fifth wave, see a wick down to this structural support, maybe even $1.90, and then we pop back up from there. Okay, now this is the optimistic scenario. The less optimistic scenario is that $1.90 doesn't hold, and we go to $1.55. But we need to lose it. We need to lose it on the daily. So remember, stick to the high time frame, reduce your anxiety, hodl, and don't make any rash decisions. But yeah, this is XRP. Let's take a look at some other coins. We're going to take a look at the DXY next, the stock market. See if there's any bullish scenarios that can come out of what had happened on Friday. And I actually have a bullish scenario, pretty optimistic. And yeah, we'll check it out. Okay, just looking at the chat here. Thank you so much, JD. I appreciate that compliment about the TA. Appreciate it. So Daniel is saying Black Monday tomorrow. You know what? It's funny you say that, Daniel, because you know I was on X the other day, or yesterday, and Kramer, you know Jim Cramer. He said that we're gonna have Black Monday, or we're gonna have a Black Monday next week. And you know Jim Cramer, he's like the ultimate inverse signal, right? So if Jim Cramer is saying we're gonna have a Black Monday, then it's very likely we're not gonna have a Black Monday, and we're gonna have a relief rally. All right, so we'll see how everything plays out. And yeah, what's up, Raphael? Hope all is well, bro. We'll take a look at the PulseChain ecosystem, no problem. I know a lot of people in the chat are in the PulseChain ecosystem, so we'll take a look at most, PulseX, PLS, all of those coins. And yeah, I don't think we have a Black Monday tomorrow. I don't think so. Because hey man, if Jim Cramer says we're gonna have it, then it's likely we're not having a Black Monday. We're gonna have a relief rally. Now what I'm thinking fundamentally is that there's going to be some emergency rate cuts. There's going to be some emergency rate cuts probably next week. There may not be. It's just a theory. It's just a prediction. There may be some emergency rate cut. Some money printing. I'm not fully confident on what exactly is going to happen. It's just a possibility, considering the drawdown that we had in the stock market on Friday. And it's going to prop up the markets. Stock market is probably going to go in for a wave 5, the S&P. And crypto will recover, and then the bear market will commence. That's my prediction, is that it's going to be a very interesting next week. It's going to be very interesting. So we'll see how everything plays out for sure. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at the stock market, guys. We need to take a look at this stock market, see how everything is going. So now what I'm thinking here is that this is our wave 4. Like what if this is our wave 4 right here? And instead of this being an impulsive move down on the S&P, this was just corrective. Right? There's a big possibility of that. And look where we came down to. We came down to historical support that we've been using since 2022. Let me see how long we've been using this as support here. Yeah, so we've been using this as support for a pretty long time. And we came down to it on Friday. So, yeah, let's see how it plays out next week. Next week will be very telling. Either we break below this historical support, which will be a huge warning sign. A huge warning sign in the markets, a huge red flag in the economy. But what if we were just creating a little bit of a bigger base in order for us to have this last wave up? Right? So that's my theory. We can take a fib here. We can take a fib from our wave 2 low up to this wave 3 high and see where it came down to. It actually came down to the 38.2% fib. Okay, so on Monday, next week, we want to see the S&P hold exactly where it is. We don't want to see it go any lower than this trendline support. As soon as you get a daily close below this trendline support, you know, you may wick below it, but as soon as you get a daily close, warning sign, big red flag. But so far, this will remain a wave 4 until proven otherwise. Because now what I'm thinking is that this is just an ABC, right? You have your 3 up, 3 down in your A, your 3 up in your B, and then a 5-wave move to the downside with an extension in the 5th wave, signaling capitulation. There is a big possibility that this is your wave 4 because we came down to historical support. And we're going to have a slow grind up for your wave 5. Maybe it's fast, I'm not sure. But that's what I'm thinking. Now, when it comes to the Russell 2000, wait, let me just pop up this chat for a sec. I just want to see if you guys can hear me okay. Okay. Thanks a lot, Stephen. I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll take a look at Jasmine and Gala, no problem. And we'll take a look at Cake and Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, I believe every stream we do, we take a look at XRP, QNT, and Cake. So yeah. But yeah, okay. So let's take a look at let's take a look at the Russell, because that's very important. Now, the Russell has my wave count here on the Russell has been severely invalidated, and we can delete all of this stuff and just take a look at it from a very simple perspective. Okay, if we take a fib from this low right here in October 2023 up to this high, look where it's come down to. Look where the Russell gapped down to on Friday, right at the 786. So this is our line in the sand. I mean, if we lose this, it's over, really. So we need to see this level hold here. We need to see the 786 hold next week on the Russell 2000. That's why I keep saying very, very important week. Very important trading week that's coming up, because the Russell is at such a critical level, right? I'm not exactly sure how we're going to recover, but maybe we can see at least a dead cat bounce if this is impulsive. Maybe a dead cat bounce, or I don't know, maybe a full-on recovery. I'm not exactly sure, but the most I can say is that we're on the 786, which is the line in the sand. Okay, we mustn't go below that level. We mustn't go below 1786 on the daily time frame. As soon as we do that, then that would be extremely that would be extremely bearish. That would be a red flag for sure. Now there is a gap here, and I do expect for us to come back up to fill this gap. We'll take a look here on the 30-minute time frame. You guys see how we're forming a little bit of a base here, forming some strength over here on the Russell. So we'll see what happens next week. We'll see how it plays out. But I'm looking for this gap to get filled at 1864 to 1912. If we can fill that gap and then get above it, then we're looking positive. Sorry, the gap is over here. So from, let me see here. 1848 to 1912. Okay, that's where the gap is. All right. If we can fill this gap next week and then get above 1912, then we're looking okay. We're looking promising for a relief rally across the board. But just remember, the Russell 2000 is on the 786, so we need to hold this level next week. Now, Chris is asking, can crypto still pump without the stock market? And, you know, it never really is pumped without the stock market. But what we saw on Friday is very interesting, right? We saw the stock market take a huge hit, but we didn't see crypto go down. It actually just stayed still. So we're seeing some very unique market dynamics that are taking place that haven't really happened in the past. So I'm not sure. Maybe there's a shift, right? What's telling the truth? Is it the S&P 500 or is it Bitcoin, right? You have to. We'll find out. We'll find out next week. Maybe I'll do a live stream at New York Open or pre-New York session tomorrow, so we can all see how the stock market opens and how crypto reacts to it. Maybe we can do that. I think that would be pretty nice for you guys, because I know a lot of you are navigating this market alone, so maybe it would be nice if I can do a live stream to help you guys a bit. Okay, so let's take so we took a look at the S&P 500. I was showing you guys that what if this is 1 second here. Let me just make sure everything Okay, so we took a look at XRP. We took a look at the full wave count. We took a look at the S&P. We said that this could potentially be a wave 4, and then on the RSI, we've actually dipped into oversold territory on the 3-day time frame. We're more oversold than we were back here in October 2022 at the bottom. Before the S&P did over 72% from the lows back in 2022. We're more oversold than that right now. So we can actually say that this is your hidden bullish divergence all the way back 3 years ago. Okay, so we'll see how this plays out. Either this is a wave 4 and it's a corrective move to the downside, or it's impulsive. We'll find out next week. Russell 2000 is at our line in the sand at the 786, expecting a gap fill up to 1848 to 1912. Go below the 786, and that would be a huge red flag. Definitely show some warning signs in the economy. Let's take a look at the DXY. So now the DXY has been following my analysis pretty well. This is the small time frame wave count. The only thing is that the stock market is not diverging from it. So we'll see how it plays out. A lot of things that we haven't really seen in the past are playing out. So this is very, let me see here. So on the daily time frame, I still would be expecting $94 to get hit on the DXY. The reason I say $94 is because that's the 786. When we take a fib right from these lows here in January 2021 up to these highs in 2022, and this move over here from 2023 to 2025, this was what's called Wyckoff redistribution. So in the Discord, we perfectly called this bottom. We called it publicly, actually on Twitter. And then about almost a year later, we topped out here at the 702. So we'll see how it plays out. But let's dive into some coins now. We took a look at legacy markets. We took a look at the S&P. Either the S&P is within a wave 4 correction, or we're having an impulsive move to the downside. We wouldn't want to go any lower next week. Monday will be pretty big. I don't think it's going to be a Black Monday, like Kramer said it's going to be. Russell 2000 must hold as well, as it's on the 786. But there is a possibility that crypto diverges. I'm not exactly sure, because we didn't see crypto follow on Friday. So yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna pop up the chat here. I'm just gonna see what questions you guys are asking for, or what coins you guys are asking for, and we'll do them. Yeah, inverse Kramer, so it should pop up, right? Yeah, exactly. He's never been wrong. I'm telling you. Like, if you inverse Kramer, you never go wrong. I think he even said that gold is bullish. So I think gold is going to top out soon as well. And we can even see on gold that it looks like it's completed wave 5 of 5. Maybe we have one more push on gold. But if we take a look from October 2022, it looks like 5 waves are put in. This is your wave 1, your wave 2, your 3rd, 4th, and then your 5th. And then if we zoom into this wave 5, we can clearly see 5 waves right here. You guys see that? Wave 5 of 5 of 5. All right? Boom. And then this is your... You see that? So there's a possibility gold is topped. And one of my friends was telling me that gold is inversely correlated to that of Bitcoin. I'm not sure if it's true, but if it is, and gold is topped out, then there's a possibility that Bitcoin has one more hurrah, or one more push up before we enter into a bear market, and then this is not it, right? So if gold tops out here, then yeah, Bitcoin could potentially be going up. So we'll see how it plays out. Let's take a look at Atom. We'll take a look at Cake, Jasmy, H-Bar. Yeah, gold is the inverse. Jack Morris is saying gold is inverse of Bitcoin. Yeah, so if gold is topped out here, guys, which is very likely it has, because we see wave 5 of 5 of 5, then yeah, Bitcoin is not done yet, right? Bitcoin still has one more push up. But I'm thinking tomorrow. It's not a guarantee. If I have time, I'm thinking tomorrow at New York Open. I'll do a live stream so we can see how crypto reacts and see how the stock market opens. We can watch that together for sure. No problem. Okay, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, now we got to take a look at Bitcoin cuz we didn't take a look at Bitcoin before we take a look at all of the altcoins, or sorry, one second here. Before we take a look at all of the altcoins, we need to take a look at Bitcoin because that's the liquidity daddy or dad of the market, right? No, nothing's going anywhere until Bitcoin finds its footing. So let's check that out. We'll take a look at Ondo, Sui. We're gonna take a look at QNT, PulseChain coins. Peter Tran is asking, what is gonna happen to Pulse coins if they fall below the all-time low? You know, I still have faith in the PulseChain ecosystem because even though they're below the all-time low, it could be within Wyckoff accumulation. So if the rest of the market, if ETH holds through next week and the rest of the market gets popped up, then I'm sure PulseChain will have bottomed. But no worries, Peter. We'll take a look at the PulseChain ecosystem. No worries. U.S. Sunday night and early Asian. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's take a look at BTC now. We're gonna explore some scenarios here on BTC. Okay. So this is our diagonal support. Either we hold it or we come down to these March highs, which would be right here. So it's either we hold it right here at the, let me see here. Either we hold the 50% here or we come down to 72. Those are very two simple scenarios. Okay, we need to hold this diagonal trend line here first. Because now what I'm thinking is that for the bearish scenario is that it just sees continuation down. That would be the bearish scenario. And we have seen this before in Bitcoin, where it forms this kind of pennant and then you just have the bottom fall out and then you get bought up from there. Now, the good news is that if Bitcoin did this, where we wick into the March highs, right over here, if Bitcoin were to do this and wick into the March highs, it's likely we would still see a relief rally from there. At least come up about 50 to 61.8% of the way to take out all of these shorts, to take out all of the stops from traders who are short all the way down here, right? Like I said, it's a ball underwater. Look how many times you've been using this trendline resistance. So this is what's called your trendline liquidity, and we're likely to see eventually a pop back up above it. So this is the bearish scenario. The bearish scenario states that we lose $79,291 on the daily time frame and go below this diagonal support. Otherwise, we're going to see a pop up. We're going to see a pop up, likely to the highs, like around here. See a retrace, kind of form an inverted head and shoulders, and then we have continuation. That's it. But we need to see the stock market hold up. Very interesting and unique dynamics taking place. So those are the two scenarios on Bitcoin. Either we hold this diagonal support, we hold 72,291 on the daily, or we flush down to 72, and then that's the last capitulation before we see a push up. Right? So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. Now, don't forget. Now, a lot of people are saying that wave 5 of 5 has already happened, but I disagree. I disagree. For now, at least. For now. The reason I say that is because when we actually try to count these waves, in wave 5, we only see 3 waves. This is your wave 1, wave 2, and this is your 3rd. This is your 4th. But where's our 5th? Right? Where's your 5th wave? Still needs to happen. And if gold is topped out right over here, now this is a wave count on gold all the way back from September 2022, and we know that gold is inversely correlated to that of Bitcoin. If gold is topped out, then it's likely Bitcoin has one more push, right? So we'll see how it plays out. We're likely gonna do a live stream next week, early next week, Monday morning. See how everything reacts: crypto, stock market, indices, DXY, etc. So yeah, those are the two scenarios on Bitcoin. But yeah. Okay, guys. So TRX, yeah, TRX is the strongest. You know what I've noticed is, I think TRX is a Chinese coin. I think there's some shady business on TRX. That's why it's still up. Like I think there's some, like, they're washing their money through that coin. I'm not sure. Yeah, let's see TRX. Let's see TRX. Let's check it out. Yeah, TRX is super strong. Like, look at this. Do you guys see that on TRX? Now, this is a slanted inverted head and shoulders pattern. I know a lot of you are used to just the regular inverted head and shoulders pattern, like this. But sometimes in the market, like, traders, they say that this inverted head and shoulders is more reliable, but from my experience, the slanted ones are always the most powerful. So you have your left shoulder right here, right? This is your left shoulder, your head, and then your right shoulder. See that? On TRX. And then for our point of interest, we would be targeting the 78.6% fib at 40 cent. So let's see where that takes us from current prices. It's a nice 64% gain. I think we could see that. You know, even Sun, I think Sun operates on the Tron network, and it has a very, very similar structure. Let me see here. So this is Sun. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is it. Sun. Yeah, this is, you see, if we zoom in here on the 4-hour, we can see that it's printing the same structure. And then point of interest at the 786 at 0.0187. As long as these lows hold, these lows must hold. Get above the 786, then it's go time. Otherwise, it will just, we'll see a correction from there. But this is what I'm thinking on Sun. If TRX is really bottomed, then yeah, this is what I see. We can take a look at Atom for sure. This is my analysis on Atom. It's gonna come down a little. It's coming down right now to the retrace levels. Let me see here. I'm going to show you guys. I'll show you this chart here. It's actually holding pretty good here off the 38.2% fib. So like right over here, if we take a fib from this low on April 2nd up to this high, we can see that it's come down to the 38.2% fib. So if we can get back up to these highs here at $5, then it looks very promising. It looks like a really promising setup. Let's take a look here on the daily time frame, and this is exactly what I see on Atom. Okay, now remember, when I show you guys a trade setup, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to skyrocket right away to the targets and you won't see any drawdown. Okay, that's why I always stress the importance of dollar cost averaging into the position, whether it's a futures trade or a spot trade. Always DCA, and always have the anticipation that it's going to go lower as soon as you buy it. Usually when you place a trade, whether it's a futures trade, day trade, swing trade, whatever, you're going to see a drawdown as soon as you get in. There's no doubt about it. So that's why DCA, 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 always remember. So this is what I see on Atom. I think that it's going to come up to this 1 day fair value gap and breaker block. So if we zoom in over here, we can see that this over here is your breaker block from November 2024. And then you also have this nice daily fair value gap. And that's exactly where the 78.6% fib is when we take a fib from our December high down to our March 11th low. You see where the 786 is? It's at $8.34. And then if we were to take a look at the trend-based fib target, we can see that the 1.786. So if we take a trend-based fib from this low up to this high and down to the counter trend, look where the 1.786 is, right there at 835. And look where the 786 is here when we take a regular fib, right at 833. So a lot of confluence here at this inefficiency here on the daily, right? It's very likely it's gonna come up to this daily fair value gap and breaker. Either we see a retracement from there, and then we continue on higher towards our larger inefficiency, which would be our 1 month fair value gap plus our mitigation block. So this is your mitigation block all the way back from, let me see here, 2021. 2021, 2022, there was a mitigation block here. And then if you look on the monthly time frame, let me just load this up here. Yeah, so if you look on the monthly time frame, you guys see this huge fair value gap. And then when you analyze the whole volume of the chart, we could see that the value area high is right there. This is your value area high, you see? I'll make the line thicker so you guys can see. And then where the point of control, I'll make it yellow so you guys can see. The point of control is right near this point of interest that we have marked out. So lots of confluence here at that $7.50 to $9.20 region. So it's either these two scenarios that I see, right? And then on the small time frame, we're just going to range. We're forming a ascending triangle. So this is your ascending triangle right here. So expect chop. Remember, whenever you buy into a position, always have the anticipation that it's going to go lower below your buy. So you're not, and that's realistic. Those are realistic expectations because that happens, right? Yeah, so this is your bullish ascending triangle. And you know something, it's actually very similar to that of cake. Because if you look at cake, I'm going to show you guys this. this right here. Look at cake over here, okay? I'm going to show you another chart. Or sorry, one sec. Okay, so you see how? So okay, so atom is the first pane, and then cake is the second pane. You see how you have this diagonal support, right? This is your psychological support. We did this. We had the same thing on cake. We dipped below it, right over here, and then we saw the pop up right to the 786. The only difference is that this was a straight line to the upside. This was a straight pop up on cake. But for atom, we're just kind of within a compression pattern before we see the pop up. So this was on cake, it was a straight pop up from below the diagonal trend line. But for atom, it's forming a compression pattern, and then the POI would be at 834. So if it pops up, that would be great. This is where you'd want to take profit for the anticipation of a drawdown from there. Okay, so that's atom. I believe someone was asking for atom in the chat, so it's pretty good. So yeah, we'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance. We can't forget Bitcoin dominance in this stream. I have a really nice wave count on Bitcoin dominance, and I want you guys to take a look at that. I know I posted it in the Telegram, but we're gonna go over Bitcoin dominance together and see the possible scenarios that could occur from here. Now, yeah, we'll take a look at DOT, no problem. Chieftain for sure. Bleedu is saying, I stopped using stop loss. I placed a sell stop and hedge down to take profit. Buy back up. You know, that's not a bad strategy. That's not a bad strategy. Sometimes a stop loss may not work in your favor, depending on the type of trader you are and the type of market you're trading. Actually, if you only put the amount you're willing to lose within the trade, then there's really no need for a stop loss. If you think about it, if you only put the amount you're willing to lose into the trade, then you wouldn't need a stop loss unless you need a little bit of a buffer. So if you need more money, like if you need a buffer where you need more money, then yeah, put a stop loss. But if you're only putting the amount you're willing to lose, then there's really no need for it, depending on the type of market you're trading. If you're a scalper, yeah, maybe a stop loss would be the best. But if you're a swing trader, or you trade options, or very highly over leveraged market, depending on your position size, stop loss is not always needed, right? It can sometimes work against you. I know a lot of people, they say, oh, you're not a good trader if you don't use a stop loss. That's not true. It depends how you trade. Every trader is different. Stefan is asking, any good news for XRP? Just joined a minute ago. Yeah, XRP is looking good. It's still holding structure. As long as it holds above $1.90, we should be okay. Otherwise, we'll come down to $1.55. Let's see here. So Jordan is saying, okay. All right. So everyone is asking for most on PulseChain. There's a lot of PulseChain people in the chat here. Everyone's asking for that. Okay, well, before we take a look at PulseChain, I want to take a look at something a little bit more important, and that's Bitcoin dominance. So let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance here. And I wanna walk you guys through this wave count here. Okay, we'll go on the daily time frame. We'll put this guy up here a little bit, like right over here. Let me just remove this part. It's taking a while to load. But yeah, this is the wave count on Bitcoin dominance. So taking a look here from 2021, we have an ABC up for your A wave. We have an ABC down for your B wave. And then within your C wave, you have a 5-wave move to the upside. Okay? This is your 5-wave move. You guys see that? Within this wave 5, we have what's called an ending diagonal, where the waves overlap each other. Very similar structure to that of what the Dow Jones was creating back in the 1980s, when it formed an ending diagonal exactly like this. Exactly looking like this, and then it saw a massive nosedive. So now, here's what I'm thinking for Bitcoin dominance, okay? This was our wick over here on February 3rd, February 2nd, February 3rd. That was when Bybit got hacked, okay? All we're doing right now is just filling this wick. And right now we're at the 702. So it's either we come down from here next week, we either come down from 63.16 from the current price, or we go up to 63.5 and then come down from there. This is where I expect the top. If we go above 63.5, then it's very likely we're gonna go ahead and top out at this fib right over here. I'm gonna show you right now. We're gonna take a fib from our 2021 high down to our 2022 low. You guys see, if we take a look at this on the linear scale, we've come up to the 702, okay? But as soon as you get above 63.5% on the daily time frame, then it's likely we'll just top out here, right? So Bitcoin dominance is going to top out. I can guarantee you guys this. This is something I can guarantee. Okay? So if we don't top out over here, then we're just going to top out here, right? Very, very simple, right? Very simple. Either we top out here and we'll consider this a wick fill of the February 3rd Bybit hack, or we just come up here and then top out. And then it tanks down to this weekly inversion fair value gap. Now, I'm targeting this weekly inversion fair value gap down here at around 47.08%. You see this gap over here? You see how there's another gap adjacent to that gap? This is what's called your inversion fair value gap. And it's a very, very powerful PD array that you can use in the market. Coincidentally, that's exactly where the 702 and the 786 is. If we come up here, that would be exactly where? That would be exactly there, right? You know, I noticed that there's always a PD array. There's always a PD array at the 786, always. At the 702 and 786, there's always some type of PD array. So yeah, this is your weekly inversion fair value gap. This is what we would be targeting. Either we top out from current prices on Bitcoin dominance up to 63.5%. If we go above 63.5% on the daily, then it's very, very, very likely that we top out at 66.2 before we see a massive decline from there towards our weekly inversion fair value gap at 47%. Okay, so yeah, that's Bitcoin dominance. So, you know, my theory is that This is probably why crypto held up so well on Friday. Probably because Bitcoin dominance. You know, it's reaching the end of its rope, right? Reaching the end of its uptrend. Not only do we see an ending, so now whenever you see an ending diagonal in the market, it's very hard to trade it because you don't know exactly where the pivot is going to be, where the last pivot is going to be, any type of diagonal in the market. So what you want to do is always pull out your RSI. And if there's bearish divergence, then you know for sure you're dealing with an ending diagonal, right? And look what we have here. We have triple negative divergence going all the way back to June 2023, where you have consecutive higher highs, but over three consecutive lower highs. So this is your triple negative divergence. So yeah, Bitcoin dominance is bearish. I think alts are going to have their day, and it's going to be very soon. Okay, so no need to worry. Everything, the sky hasn't fallen yet. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Jorge is saying so many people are bearish and Bitcoin dominance looks like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, hope you're doing well, Felipe. We'll take a look at Block V and Velo for sure. GBP JPY. I don't know if we should. I don't know if we should jump into forex on this stream. I know a lot of people. So now my background is forex and stock market, in the stock market, and I came to the crypto market. But I know like 99% of people here, and they're all crypto people. So I don't wanna. I don't want to do their head in with forex. So we'll take a look at that in the Discord. If you're interested in something like that, then maybe join the Telegram Discord. I'll post it there. But yeah, I know. So Eamon is saying this morning I saw ETH on the 3-day and I became short-term bearish. I saw your chart, Eamon, in the Discord. Really nice chart. But I want to see what next week brings. You know, I saw something on ETH. I saw something very interesting on ETH. I want to check this out right now. I want to check this out. Pretty interesting, right? This was just before we had the COVID dump, right? This was in February. Then you had March. And then you had that COVID dump. Boom. Just like that. Boom. You see? And then we pushed down to the 1.2272. When you take a fib from the last swing low up to the peak before you had capitulation, you came down to the 1.272, and look how fast we recovered here. You guys see how fast this recovery was? And you know, when you're in the thick of it, the chart looks like death, right? Like, let's go all the way back here and see how bearish this chart looked, right? This looks super bearish, right? You know, most people said, oh my God, we're going to see, we're just going to keep going down from here, you know, and then we popped up. And then imagine this price action didn't play out. So imagine this is not on the screen right now. Like, just imagine you're like right over here, and then you see it come down again like that. Any normal mind would think, oh my god, yeah, okay, it's gonna have continuation. But what did it do instead? It just, it had such an amazing recovery. So there is a possibility, not a guarantee, just a possibility that this is something very similar to that of like the COVID time, you know, when we had that dump. Because look where we came down here. We came down to the 1.272. But in order to validate this scenario, we would need to see a pop up next week, right? That's why I'm saying next week, very critical next week in regards to price action and seeing how it all plays out. We can even put the 1.382 on there just to give us a little bit of a safety net there at 1650. And yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Okay. Now let's take a look at the crypto fear and greed index. Yesterday, let me see. Yesterday it was at 30. I don't know if this is super accurate. Let me see back in 2020. Where was the fear and greed index during that COVID dump? We're around the same level, guys. March 1st. Yeah, so man, we're in fear. So we'll see how it plays out next week for sure. See how it plays out. Yeah, Cake, we'll take a look at Cake. Frank Valentich, hope you're doing well, bro. That's my good friend. He's saying ETH looks exactly like Bitcoin in the last bull run during the COVID crash. Yeah, I see that a little bit. Exactly. JTG is saying Bitcoin dominance being at the end of its rope during the last few days is actually such a big indicator. I agree. Look how cooked this looks. This looks super cooked. You guys see that? Looks super cooked. Right? Either it tops out next week or it tops out within 14 days. That's my best guess. I'm not the greatest with timing. No one is. But yeah, within 14 days, Bitcoin dominance tops out. That's what I'm thinking. Let me pop up this chat right now. Let me just see something here. All right. Okay. How many people are invested into Flare? I know a lot of people who are in XRP are also in Flare. Let me see. Flare. Okay, this is Flare. Let's just change this color up a bit. So now, next week is very critical, right? The reason I say that is because next week is very critical for Flare, I should say, for a lot of coins. For Flare in particular, because it mustn't go below. It mustn't have too much of a deviation below this support over here, or below this 88.6% fib. You see at 0.01367, it shouldn't see much of a deviation lower. We're currently deviated about 4.65%. If we start dropping to about 10% to 15% deviation, it would invalidate this wave count, and we would have to reanalyze. However, this is what I see on Flare. I see a move up to, so if this low holds and then we see a pop back up above 0.0136, then I'm looking at around 12 to 13 cent as the first take profit level. Then 18 cent, and then 25 to 30 cent for the top. This is what I see on Flare. So yeah, but remember, next week, very, very important. I want to see how Flare reacts. I don't want to see too much of a deviation below the 88.6% fib. You know, something that we should take a look at every stream we do is total 3. Because total 3, like sometimes individual coins may look so bearish. Some coins may look super bullish. But when you take a look at total 3, you can get more of a clear picture on the whole market, on the market as a whole. So let's take a look at total 3 here. And you know, total 3, it's still holding the March highs. It's still holding. It's been holding the March high since February. Right? You see that? Holding the 50% fib as well. So we'll see what happens next week. Now I wouldn't want to see total 3 go any lower than the 50% fib, or the crypto market is going to run into some trouble. The crypto market is going to run into some trouble if we lose this structural support here. The reason I say that is because then the waves would be overlapping, and in the Elliott wave theory, it can't do that. You know, in the crypto market, you may see a little overlap. Because it's such a highly over-leveraged market, you're going to see wicks, chop, and you're going to see a little bit of overlapping take place, just like we see over here. But when you start getting closes, like full-on closes below previous waves, then that would be bearish, because then that would be overlapping of waves, and then we can no longer consider this corrective, right? But next week I'd be expecting a pop up. I want to look for a pop up to occur next week. That's what I want to look for. Target would still be at 1.65 to 1.8 trillion dollars. The reason I say that is because of this fib over here. So if we take a fib from November 2021 down to January 2023, take a look at the linear scale. Take a look at the 1.382. Or sorry, the 1.618 and 1.702 and 1.786. These are the 3 golden fibs that you should keep in mind in crypto. 1.618, 1.702, and 1.786. And I believe that's exactly where we topped out in December. Around there, right? Look. Tapped the 1.702 there in December. And then if you use a trend-based fib, I think it did the same thing. Or no, it came up to the 786. But yeah, these are the 3 golden fibs here. 1.618, 1.702, and 1.786. In the case where we move back above the 50% fib, which is at 915.94 billion. So as soon as we get a close above this level at the 50% fib, then we know for sure that the bottom is in. And then we're going to go up for one last push before we enter into the bear market. Because similarly to that of Bitcoin, we don't have wave 5 of 5 yet. We only have 4 waves here within wave 5, right? We only have 4 waves here. And then if we use a trend-based fib as well to this, look where the 1-to-1 extension is, right there at 1.76 trillion. We can even take a regular fib to this, and we can see. Around the same area, right? So this is the log fib. And yeah. 1.65 to 1.8 trillion is when the market gets up here, guys. You should exit. Not financial advice. When the market gets up here, just exit and turn off your computer. And no matter how tempted you are to take another trade, no matter what your, brain is telling you, just ignore it. Just stay in cash and wait for a 90% drop. That's my plan. When the crypto market gets up here, I'm fully out. I'm not going to go back in. I'm out. I'm out until we see a good bear market, at least down to the median of this range. Bear market's going to be brutal, but I don't think we're in the bear market yet. As long as these March highs hold here, then we're not in a bear market. We should be good. Well, I'll keep you guys updated for sure, but from my perspective, we're not done yet. What price would be the median? Let me see here. So if it were to go up to 1.8 trillion, the median would be at 721 billion. So this is the median, right? If we were to just extend it like this, you could see here, that's the median. So it'd be so from 1.65 to 1.8 trillion is where the crypto market is extremely likely to top out at, the altcoin market. And then from there, I'd be expecting a big ABC correction for your bear market. And we may even go below it. We may even go below the median. You never know, right? But that shouldn't matter. That shouldn't matter right now. The only thing that should matter right now to you guys is this target at 1.65 to 1.8 trillion and to see if these March highs are going to hold as support, this structural support here. We'll worry about this bear market later, but for now, we need to focus on these two things. This structural support holding next week, and then these highs over here. As soon as the market gets up to these highs, you want to fully exit, not financial advice. Okay, let me see here. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're gonna do cake. No, we didn't do the cake analysis yet. We're gonna do cake, but then we're gonna do Litecoin. What other coin should we do? We'll get to Velo as well. I know one of the channel members have asked for it. Felipe asked for Velo. If we may not get to all of the coins in today's live stream. Don't worry. If I don't get to all the coins, I'll just post it on Telegram. So don't worry about that. If it's not on the Telegram, then I'll post it in the Discord. Okay. Okay, let's do cake. I know like 10 people have asked for cake already. So let's just take a look at it. Now, you know, Cake is such a extremely manipulated coin, but it pumps so nice. Like the structure is so nice, but it's very manipulated. Like it's you could tell by the way the price moves that there's like a lot of insiders in this coin. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that you have to be you have to be on your game. If you're holding this coin and you don't like holding through the dips, then you have to be on your game and you have to be locked in when you're doing analysis on this because it moves very quick. So we should, you know, Cake actually, we should be bottoming out here. I'll show you guys. This would be your wave 1, right? This is your 5-wave move to the upside. Now, I'm going to show you the analysis that I see so far. This may change next week. We're going to have to update it. We're going to likely have to update it. But this is what we see so far, okay? This is Cake. This is your wave 1. This is your ABC, right, like this. And then this is your wave 1 of 3. So, okay, like this. Now we actually called the top perfectly on Cake back in March. At the end of March, we called the top perfectly on Cake. I gave this trade opportunity to the YouTube channel members and to the Discord members. I believe I also posted the idea on Twitter that this was a distribution range, right? This was a distribution range, and we were unable to get above the 786 here. You guys see that? You see how we were unable to get above this 786? We did the exact same thing over here. It's like whoever the market maker is, like they're good at trading this because they just keep dumping it off the 786. Right? That was the telltale sign. And then this is your wave 2 of 3. That's what I'm thinking. Like that, right? And then these are the supports right here. Like these levels. This is where I expect the bounce to come in, okay? So very, very soon. Either we see the bottom come in next week, or we go for something very extreme to around $1.50. But I'm thinking the bottom should come in at around $1.61, $1.62 area. Exactly where this blue box is. So we'll draw this right here. Bulls must hold. Bulls must hold this level, okay? And then this is your wave 1, or sorry, this is your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this, right? So now this is just an estimated trajectory, okay? This is not down to a science or anything. We're going to have to alter these waves as the price develops. But it's good, right? It gives you a little bit of a trajectory. Okay, something like that. And then this would be your wave 3. Then you come down for a wave 4, and then you have your wave 5 to around 10 to 12. Like that. Then if we take a fib from the all-time high down to the all-time low, you guys see on the log scale, the 618 is at 10, and then the 50% is at 674. Okay, so I think wave 3 is going to take us to 674 region, right here. Then we have, wave 3, and then wave 4 is going to come down to back test this 1,000-day long accumulation range, and then we're going to go in for our wave 5 like this, right? Like this, like around this level. We may even hit 13. There's a possibility of that. No guarantee. And then we come down for your ABC. A, B, C. Like that. Like around this region. And then we go up there, and then we go up from there, and we'll start the next run. But yeah, 674 to 1049 is what I would be expecting. You'd want to look to take profit at these levels. Not financial advice. Take profit at these levels because they're very important levels. Okay. Very, very simple. Boom. Like that. Then you have your ABC down. Then you have your last 5 waves up. Okay. Okay, so there's cake. You guys can take a screenshot of that if you want. Or you can just capture it mentally, take a mental image, and we'll update it as the price develops. Yeah, we'll take a look at Dent for sure. Okay, we gotta do I'm gonna do Litecoin very quickly, and then we'll take a look at the PulseChain ecosystem, because I know, like, I think there's like 12 people have asked already for most on PulseChain. So we'll take a look. So let's take a look at Litecoin. Okay, so Litecoin is holding structural support right now. We've reacted to this level many times in the past. And like I said, right? Next week will be very telling what we're going to do in the market. You see how many times we've reacted off this level on Litecoin? How many times we've used it as support and resistance. And look where we are right now in 2025. Right at this level. So, like I say, the chart, in the thick of it, the chart looks like death, right? But when you zoom out, you'll realize that it'll just become a blip on the radar, right? So we'll see how this structural support looks. We'll see if it manifests into a wick on the high time frame. But nothing has changed in regards to the macro targets on Litecoin. I'm still thinking that this is some sort of channel, right? And we come up to this level right here. Come up to around 339. And then if you go above 339, then we'd be targeting the 1.382 and 1.236 extension at 509 and 564. But yeah, next week we'll see how it plays out. We're currently on the 702 fib support. You see? If we take a fib from August low up to the December high, we're right on the 702. Okay, and we may wick to the 786. We may wick there. There's a possibility of that. Like that. So that's Litecoin. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map over here. Where are we going to liquidate first? Very, very interesting chart that we have over here. Right? Lots of liquidity here. About $88 million of liquidation at 85,190. Let's take a look at this on the weekly here. Yeah, so where are we going to liquidate first? 81,000. Which is $112 million of, or no, let me see here. Even more, 130 million. Probably more than that. It's probably not accounting for all of the liquidation, but up here it's 140 million. So about the same size, right? Where are we going to liquidate first? Let's see. Let's see what happens next week. Now, taking into account that liquidation heat map, there's two scenarios from here, really. Right? Either we do this, or we do that. Right? Or we totally break down below this diagonal support and then wick into this region at around 72, and then we come up from there. So we'll see how it plays out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PulseChain ecosystem today in today's live stream. I'm not so worried about the price action. Not so worried about it. This is PulseX. See, it's just a diagonal. It's just an accumulation range. And now, like I said, right, in the Elliott wave theory, the E wave doesn't really go below the C wave. But because crypto is such a highly over-leveraged market, you may see deviations. You may see deviations below this C wave, below this diagonal trendline support like we saw over here, right? And then you may see the reversal. But in order for something like this to occur, we would need to see ETH play along as well. Like I showed you, ETH must hold that level. This level right here. You see? See, we came down to the same fib in the COVID crash. And then we got bought up very ferociously. When the money printer started, I think rates were cut. So maybe we have something similar, right? Maybe the Fed bails the economy out next week. I don't know. Maybe. See how it plays out. But yeah, this is PulseX. Looking pretty good so far. I don't want to see PulseX go any lower. If it goes any lower, then yeah, that would be bearish. That would give some warning signs. But as long as it holds these lows here and then gets back above this level, then we should be okay. If it gets back above this level, we need to get it back above 402259, and then once you get back above this point of control where 70% or more of the volume is located at 403009, then we should be good. We could call this a bottom, and then all we would need to see from that level going forward is just a move up, just a push above these two levels. Then we're off to the races. Major point of interest would be at the 4.236 extension, measured from the highest recorded price within the range down to the lowest recorded price. That would be sitting at 305621, which would be a nice 27x from current prices. Now, for all of the people who don't hold this coin, don't feel FOMO, because this is a very risky coin, and anything can happen. But for the people who hold this coin, this is the TA. Everything looks okay so far. Let's take a look at PLS, and then we'll take a look at most, because I know a lot of people have been asking for most on PulseChain. So let's see over here, guys. This is PLS. The reason I'm not so concerned with the price action is because it's just printing a diagonal. Okay. If we were to fully remove everything from this chart and just take a look at the price action, we can see that it's swept psychological support that we've been using for over 650 days now. So as long as the low holds, and then we attempt to make a move back up to 40324, then we can say that this is a valid deviation before we have expansion to the upside. This would then be considered a spring in Wyckoff accumulation, and then we would be looking for a move up to the median or the mean of this range, get above the mean, then we'd be taking a look at this internal range liquidity sitting at 302, and then eventually this external range liquidity sitting at 302881. But so far, this is the wave count. Everything looks pretty good as long as the lows hold. Okay, major targets would be sitting at the 4.236, same as PulseX at 201132, but it's likely to overshoot that towards the higher values at the 4.618 and 5.618. You can pause the video and check those prices out, but so far this is the TA. Let's quickly move on to most, and then we'll take a look at the other coins that you guys have for me. Okay, so this is most here. I think wow, okay. Okay, let's just delete this all here. Okay, so this is most. This is either your AVC correction, which is finished, or it's not done yet, and we go below the 786 fib support, which would be located right over here. I'll show you guys. Yeah, so in order for us to say that the low is in over here and this was your ABC correction down, then most mustn't go below this level at 0.0279. Okay, the reason I say that is because that's our line in the sand. That's the 786. Right? This could be a 5-wave move in a leading diagonal formation. You see how it's kind of like a diagonal structure over here? This is either an impulsive move up in a wave 1, or this is a wave 4, which wouldn't be bullish. Right? This could be a wave 4. Then we come down for a wave 5. And this is your A, B, C, D, E, something like that, right? So very crucial that we get above these highs here. And these highs would be sitting at, let me see here, 0.072. So in order for most wanted to be bullish, we need to get above 0.072 on the daily, and we need to stay above 0.0279. Otherwise, this is a wave 4 diagonal, and we're going to come down to make a new low below 0.021. Okay, so that's most. You know, a lot of people are saying May 10th. You know, this guy I talked to, one of my good friends, he's really big into gematria and astrology and all that. I know a lot of people say that astrology and gematria, it has no place in the world of TA, but I would disagree with that. It actually works sometimes. So I don't know. I keep hearing May 10th, and mid-April. That's what I keep hearing. So I don't know. We'll check those days out. See what happens in the market mid-April. Daniel is saying I'm worried about H bar. Okay, we'll take a look at H bar. No problem. Let me see here. I'm just looking at the chat. I just want to see what coins you guys are requesting. Let me see here. Okay. We didn't take a look at incentive token. We took a look at PulseX, PLS. But we didn't take a look at incentive. So incentive is still holding, guys. Nothing has changed since the last analysis. Either we see a push up from here, from this yellow box, from current prices down to $1.04, or we come down to 80 cents. If it goes below 80 cents, then our bullish scenario has been invalidated, and then we'd be trending down. Now, the good news is that this is a low volume pullback. So you see how we pull back to support, but we did so on low volume. We did so on low volume here. So this means that there's weak longs taking profit, and it's just a short-term decline before you see continuation higher. Or, sorry, reversion in the opposing direction. So we'll see how these levels play out on incentive. We'll continue to monitor it. But remember, we mustn't go below 80 cents. Otherwise, bullish scenario invalid. invalidated. Okay, let's take a look at some other coins here. Um, hmm. Wonder. Okay, H bar. Let's take a look at H bar. Okay, so what we can do on H bar is take a fib from our November lows up to our highs here in December. Okay, and we're approaching the 702 here at 0.1474. Let's take a look at it though on the H bar is a little tricky here. Let me see. So there's these supports here. I'm going to show you guys. So now I'm going to show you the bullish and bearish scenario on H bar. These are your supports over here, okay? If we lose 11 cent, it would be bearish. And we can consider that we can consider this an A, a B, and a C wave correction before you see a 5-wave move down. Otherwise, if we hold this level at 11 cent, then we could just say that it's just ascending accumulation. That's all it is. You guys see? And we've actually reacted to this level a lot of times. So we'll see how this structural support plays out. But the line in the sand for H bar is sitting at 11 cent, 0.117. I don't want to see the weekly go below that level, because then we'd be breaking this structural support right here. You see? So I want this level to hold on H bar. And in the case it does hold, which in the case it does hold, then we'd be looking at these targets over here. I'll show you. Okay, these levels. These are your exit targets. All I did was I took a fib from this 2021 high down to this low and take a look at the fib on the linear scale. Even though we're on the logarithmic chart, we want to get the most conservative targets as possible, so we're going to look at the linear fibs. I know a lot of analysts, they say you shouldn't use linear fibs on a log scale. I disagree. You can use both. Use both because you don't know what the market maker is using. If the market maker is using log fibs or if the market maker decides to use linear fibs. Sometimes they use both. That's what I've noticed. So use both. Our major point of interest for the exit target would be at 70 cent to $1. So you'd want to look to exit the majority of your position around that level, not financial advice. And the line in the sand is sitting at around 11 to 12 cent, right over here. So we want to look for this level to hold. Otherwise, we're going to break down, which wouldn't be good for bulls. So yeah, this level is where we would want to see. Okay. So we're gonna take a look at like we're gonna take a look at 3 or 4 more coins, and then we're gonna end the stream. I want to take a look at the Nasdaq. Um, so now either the Nasdaq is topped or we still have one more push up. Right. So I want to see which coins we should take a look at. I'm gonna look at the coins that the channel members have been requesting first. So we'll just check that out. Let me see here. Block V and Velo. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, Ondo. Yeah, we'll take a look at Ondo. Let's just take a look at Velo very quickly because the one of the channel members have asked for it. Now, actually, Velo has been holding pretty good over here. It's holding structural support. And then this could be your ABC correction, right? Your ABC correction. Worst case scenario is that this was your ABC over here. And we'll only find out next week. We'll only find that out next week. And then if this was your ABC and then we have a 5-way move down, that would be really bearish. So that's why it's very crucial that we mustn't go below. We mustn't deviate too much below this diagonal trend line. So I'm thinking it's a diagonal. It's for sure a diagonal, but it doesn't look finished, right? Because it's your wave 1, your wave 2, your 3rd, your 4th, and then we need a 5th wave up here, right? This would actually, what I'm thinking is that this is just A, B, C, D, E. This is your A, B, C, D, and then you have your E. Like that. That's what I'm thinking. And then these are the supports right here. So we're going to take a fib from... We're going to take a fib from our August low up to our January high. Okay, these are the supports here. I don't want to see Velo go below 0.007. He may wick below it, but I don't want to see any closes below it. And then this would be your wave 1, 2, 3. This is your wave 4, and then we have a wave 5 down. Okay. So yeah, I'm thinking we have a throw over to the 618 at 10 cent, around 10 to 11 cent for the top of your wave 4. So that's Velo. Okay. Boom. These are your other supports we can take a look at. Okay. Right here. Boom. Welcome to the channel, Chieftain. Appreciate that, bro. It's nice having you aboard. Mina will definitely take a look at Dent. I know you asked for that in the beginning of the stream. Sniper, would you swap DOT for XRP or XRP for DOT based on ROI? That's a good question, bro. Let's check DOT over here. Let's check DOT. Let's see the damage. Alright. Okay. So now, you know, I wouldn't swap your XRP for DOT. Now, yes, DOT is at its lows, so it definitely has more alpha, right? It has more alpha. It has more perceived upside because it's at its bear market lows. You see, back in 2020, we're right there. We've tested it about 3 times now. So yeah, you could say that, okay, here is where we find the bottom and that it's going to see a pump from here. But I want you guys to buy into strength rather than buy into weakness, because the market is very unpredictable and there's no guarantee that this is the low. What if it does that, right? What if you sell your XRP, Chieftain, I'm talking to Chieftain, what if you sell your XRP, you get into Polkadot and then it does this, right? That's the last thing you want. So hold your XRP because it's clearly outperforming the rest of the market. It's strong. And it's still above the 50-day moving average and 200-day. However, DOT, you could say, okay, yeah, DOT is at its lows and you have more perceived upside than XRP. But at the same time, there's no guarantee that this is where the low comes in, right? So just let's just wait a week, maybe a week, maybe a week and a half, just to see how this plays out before you make any swaps or any big portfolio changes. So hold your XRP, Chieftain, and I'll advise you in the next stream for sure. But yeah, Mina, let's take a look. I'm gonna take a look at Mina's coin. We'll take a look at Mina coin, and then we'll take a look at Dent, and let me see here, Dent and Casper as well. Okay, so this is Dent over here. So you know, Dent is actually, it actually reminds me a lot like XRP before it had a really nice push up. Let me see here. So something like this. So this is Dent, A, B, C, D, and then your E wave, like that. And then you know what I've noticed? You tend to see these like head and shoulders patterns at the lows before you see expansion, right? This is your left shoulder, this is your head, this is your right shoulder. And then once you go below this diagonal support or this psychological support, you see the blast off from there. I'm not saying Dent is going to blast off. I'm just showing you the setup. And we saw the same thing with XLM. You see XLM here? This was the lows right here. And you had your left shoulder, your head, your right shoulder, you went below diagonal support, and then you blasted off, right? Same thing could be said for H bar as well, right? H bar, same thing, right? Left shoulder, kind of have your head, right? You can consider that your head, go below diagonal support, and then you blast off. So Dent could be doing that. Dent is an extremely volatile coin. So you don't want to, like, if you're interested in this setup, you don't want to ape in. You want to DCA because we could still go a little lower. So I would wait till next week to see how everything plays out. We're currently on the golden pocket over here, just above the 0.66. Okay, so this is where, if you like this setup, then you'd want to DCA here. But just remember, it's a very, very risky coin, Dent. Very risky coin. Okay, this is Dent, and then let's take a look at some other coins here. Okay. Okay, Casper. I know a lot of people who are invested in XRP are also invested in Casper, I believe because it's a ISO coin. Now, you see Casper, it's the line in the sand over here. Okay? The reason I say that is because it's on the 786. So if the 786 holds, and then we manage to get above the open of the week of March 24th, which would be right over here, right at this level. At 0.011. Then that would be confirmation of a move back to this accumulation range. So hold off on buying Casper. Don't buy Casper just yet. The reason I say that is because we're at such a critical level here, right? I want to see what happens next week. Either we pop up from here, or we lose the 786. If we lose the 786, then it looks like we're going to take out these lows right here. So be careful. Be careful with Casper. Because we're at the 786. Here's the 886 right over here at 0.0075. So this bulls must hold this level right here. Okay? Boom. Boom, like that. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a few more coins, guys, and then we're going to end the stream. I'll do my best to do another stream pre-New York session before the stock market opens. We're going to take a look at how stocks open, how the US stock market opens on Monday. A lot of people are calling for a Black Monday, including Kramer. So it's probably not going to happen, but let's see. Let's see how it opens together. And we're going to take a look at the direction in which Bitcoin trades to. Either it trades upwards or down to around 71, 72. So we'll see. We'll see together. We're going to find out together. So we're going to take a look at a few more coins, and then we're going to end the stream. Okay? Okay, yeah, let's take a look at Filecoin here. Let me see here. Jasmine. Alright, let's take a look at Filecoin here. So this is Filecoin. So as you guys can see, we're in an ending diagonal right here. We have a 5-wave move down, and within this 5th wave, we're within an ending diagonal. You guys see that? So it looks like we're finishing up right over here. Should be finishing up this move here soon. Notice how the waves are overlapping within this 5th wave. Okay. You have a 3-wave move up for your A, 3-wave move down for your B, and then we would be targeting, and we'd be looking for a 5-wave move up for your expansion up to around 17 bucks. Should be a 500% gain. So now this is either Wyckoff redistribution or Wyckoff accumulation. In the case it's Wyckoff accumulation, we would come down to this support and then see a continued move up from there. But just to be on the safe side, you'd want to look to sell most of your bag up here at 17, just in case this is Wyckoff redistribution, just like the DXY. You guys see this? You guys see that? Let me see here. Okay. So some trolls are in the chat. This Matt guy, I don't even know who he is. He's never been in my Discord, never even talked to him in my life. I don't even know that kid. But okay, let's see. Out of curiosity, Sniper, before wrapping up, what are your go-to coins right now to trade and or accumulate? XRP for sure, because XRP is very strong right now. Let me see what else. Filecoin, DCA into Filecoin. What other coins? Atom is pretty good, and yeah, those are the coins that I see right now, and Ethereum as well. Ethereum is pretty good. I know Ethereum, like everyone says it's like it's an old coin and it's had its days are numbered, but it's still a good hedge. Like you can't go wrong with ETH. CRV as well, guys. CRV is pretty good. This is CRV. Now you see CRV, it hasn't had its wave 5 yet. So our wave 5 is likely going to take us to around 230 to 312. And this would be our blow off top. The most optimistic scenario would be that we come up to around 475 to 530. But on the small time frame for CRV, we may have a little bit of an ABC correction, down to around 42 to 40 cent, around here. So yeah, looks pretty good. Very impulsive move up on CRV. Major point of interest at 230 and 312. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. It was really nice having you guys here and doing the analysis for you. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, and peace out and take it easy. See you guys in the next one.